Hello, hello! Welcome to a very special session 5. You know what session 5 is? Session 5 is the session in which your instructor wears his nerd glasses. Nerd glasses are on. That means that GRE learning is about to get very intense. If you have nerd glasses, please put them on. It's like, it's like your cape for the GMAT. This is the GMAT, or your cape for the GMAT, or your cowl for the GRE, or your Wonder Woman sort of like bullet kind of things. That's what these are. These give me special perspicacity. Okay, so we will start this lesson as we start every lesson with questions from you. So I'm sorry it took a little bit of time for us to get the correct lessons up, but we have them now. So go ahead and tell me what questions you have. I have been getting some emails from you, so I just want to thank who has been emailing me. Whitney, thank you, Whitney, and Andrea and Crystal and Silvani and Karen, welcome. So what questions do you have of any sort on the GRE? Taryn asks, do you have any helpful time management solutions? So Taryn, I'll answer that in two ways, and maybe you can clarify what you mean by it. So there is time management on the test. So you have a very limited amount of time to answer the questions that they give you, and you need to have an internal clock by test day so that you can move on when you need to move on. The best way to have an internal clock is to time yourself when you practice. So at first, I want you to focus on getting the right answers. That's the most important thing. When you start to get a lot of right answers, you need to put yourself on a clock. So 35 minutes for Quant, 30 minutes for verbal. Make sure you can do the questions that they ask you to do. It's not a test of whether or not you can answer the question correctly. It's a test of whether or not you can answer the question correctly in the very limited amount of time they give you. So that's what I'll say about timing on the test. As far as like time management in general, first of all, I'm not all that good in my personal life about estimating time. Hence why we started 7 minutes late tonight. I thought I had time to download all of the files. Anyway, I think when you're studying, you need to have a plan. So make sure you have a plan and time set aside to do just GRE. So one of the biggest problems I find students have when they're studying for the GRE is they try to do the app, or they do practice in crowded or noisy or distracted environments. Don't do that, because that's not how you will take the actual test. The actual test will be a very, very focused exercise. So I'd rather you do 20 minutes of problems where you have no sound, no anything else distracting you, than an hour of problems where you have distractions all around you. If you have any other specific time management questions, just let me know. I will refer you to my girlfriend, who is much better at that, and she will tell me what to tell you. Okay, other question. Any tips for getting faster? Yeah, so speed drills is something that I do all the time in the weeks leading up to the test, especially the last 2 or 3 weeks. Basically what it is, it's a collection of problems that at some point I have had trouble with, and I just do them over and over and over again, and I give myself a smaller and smaller amount of time to solve them. So sometimes you'll start with a minute and a half, and then give yourself a minute and 20 seconds, then a minute and 10 seconds, and then a minute per question. That's the max speed for me, is a minute per question. After you do questions that you have seen before, or that you have done at some point, try doing speed drills on sets of 5 questions that you have never seen before. That will be fun. So start with a minute and a half, and then a minute and 20 seconds, and then a minute and 10, and then a minute per question. And the point of speed drills is going to be very uncomfortable, but you have to, set an alarm or set some sort of buzzer, and when that buzzer goes off, and maybe you want to set 2 buzzers, as I do sometimes. One goes off at 45 seconds, and one goes off at a minute. At 45 seconds, I got to wrap it up. I got to find some way to get an answer, and then a minute, time's up. Got to move on no matter what. So moving on no matter what is tough for a lot of people. They really are tenacious, and they got to get it right, and they have to be perfect, and they have to solve it. Here's what I say if you are that kind of person. You think that you are showing tenacity, and that is admirable, but that is not the test you are taking. The test you are taking is not, can you solve this one problem in front of you? The test you are taking is, how many questions can you get to? So if you insist on staying on this problem and winning this one battle, you're going to lose the war, and you're hurting yourself. So that's the point of the test, is it stresses you. It doesn't give you enough time to do all the questions as you would like to do them. So speed drills help you move on, triage, as they say. You have to make a determination, is another 20 seconds on this problem going to give me the right answer? If it isn't, I have to move on. I always say I would rather you miss a question in a minute and a half than get it right in 6 minutes. Because if you get it right in 6 minutes, you just ate up all the time that you need to do another 3 questions. So don't do that. Speed drills, that's how you get faster. Any other questions? Oh, Andrew says, any other resources to study/practice the skills? The Ready4 app, the Ready4 website, the GRE official guide, the GRE official website, and sorted tools. Those are all very, very good things. I do have some other tools that I use, but go through those first. That's a lot of material. So if you're still hungering for material, I will correspond with you by email. If you don't like your seat on test day, can you ask for a different one? Oh man. Well, this is what I'll say. Maybe, but I will tell you this, and we will walk through this in lesson 7 and lesson 8, but putting you in a seat that is sticky or next to someone who smells or coughs all the time or is muttering to himself or is dressed in a Backstreet Boys t-shirt, which is unacceptable, absolutely unacceptable. If you sit next to someone like that, or if your seat isn't perfect, you have to see that as that's part of the test. So I will walk you through this, but basically I assume that anything and everything will go wrong on test day. So here's a small, not complete list of things that have actually happened to me on standardized test day. I have woken up late. I have fallen out of bed and bruised my hip. I have run out of hot water. I have only gotten 4 hours of sleep the night before. That was extremely bad. Don't do that. I have gotten lost on the way to the testing center. I have, what else? I have arrived slightly late to the testing center. I have run into absolutely the meanest proctors you could possibly imagine. I have been threatened with expulsion for eating an Andes candy before the test. I sat next to a guy whose cell phone rang in the last minute of the math section on my GRE, and it was the Darth Vader theme from Star Wars, and it would not go off because if he admitted that it was his phone, he would get kicked out, so we just let it ring for all the last minute of my test. What else happened? I sat next to a cougher. He was coughing on me the entire time. I'm a major germaphobe, so that happened. Sneezer. Sat next to a sneezer. What else? Oh, I saw homeless person spilled an unknown blue liquid on me on my way to the test. What else has happened? Well, this didn't happen to me, but one of my students, her keyboard stopped typing English letters and only typed Japanese keystrokes. I am not kidding. That happened to her on the essay, and she had 6 minutes remaining in the essay, and it was only typing Japanese keystrokes. She fixed it and had 1 minute left to proofread her essay and then move on, and that was the first section for her. What else happened? Sat next to a farter. That's bad. Don't want farter is bad. What else has happened? I think you get the point. There was one other like really hilarious thing. When I think of it, I'll let you know. But here's the deal with stuff happening to you on test day. It's part of the test. They are trying to throw you. They are trying to make you nervous and upset and uncomfortable in every way possible. You know that. That's just something that you should go in expecting. If you expect it, you're like, all right, well, it's okay. You know, I see what you're doing, Mr. Test prep person. You can't throw me. I know what's going on. I know this game. If that doesn't happen, great. If you don't get blue liquid on you, you're a step ahead of me. But you should expect things to be not only imperfect, but really like disturbingly distracting. It's part of the test. You have to deal with it because you know what you don't get on your GRE? You don't get an asterisk. You don't get to explain why your score is the way it is. It's just a score. And everyone has a distraction of some kind. Okay? I had all those distractions. I have never not gotten 99th percentile, no matter what. Ooh, I remembered what the other one was. I fell asleep. I actually fell unconscious during a reading comprehension portion of the GMAT. I missed 11 minutes of my life that was supposed to be devoted to standardized testing. I was unconscious, drooling on my arm in the testing center. At that point, there's like a camera on you, like someone in like testing headquarters in Princeton, New Jersey. They like saw the live feed of me falling asleep, and they were like, "Yes, got one! Yes, nailed him, unconscious." They're trying to do that to you. So that was a very unpleasant test. I still managed to 770, which is 99.4th percentile, but it was that good. Don't do that. Don't fall asleep. Okay. Any tips on getting a good essay score? We will go over the essay thoroughly at the end of the class. It's a very formulaic piece of the test, and we will teach you exactly how to do it. The essay is the least of your worries. Can you bring earplugs and wear them during the GRE? They will provide you earplugs. So yes, I would practice rolling up the little earplugs and pulling out your ear and sticking it in. It's hard to figure out earplugs, especially the rolly kind, if it's your first time using them. So I would practice using earplugs. They will provide you with earplugs, yes. Andrea gets it. Okay. Apparently, a little overkill on the for Andrea on the number of things that could go wrong. I just want to tell you, a lot of things can go wrong, and everybody has something. Everybody wants to blame their score on this thing or that thing or this thing or that thing. One of the beautiful things of standardized testing is that it's just a score. You know, it doesn't matter where you grew up, what language you initially spoke. It doesn't matter what happened inside your testing center or what happened in your previous life or what you looked like that morning. It's only your brain and how you function on the test. It is a very, very simple evaluation. Doesn't mean that it's an evaluation of how smart you are or how good you're going to be in grad school or what you can do the rest of your life, but it is just the test. And that's it. Okay, let's do some math. Huh? Yeah? Okay. Cool. All right. detail, so we're going to do XY plane, we're going to finish out the math, and then we're going to jump into verbal. We're going to do as much verbal as possible, and then we will come to quant again at the end. Okay, so here is the XY plane, also called the coordinate plane, also called the Cartesian plane after Rene Descartes, and it is a two-dimensional map of space, and it's useful for determining points, lines, distances, and certain equations. So for the XY coordinate plane, you have, I'm going to use pink today, unless it's garish. Let's see what we have. We have the, yeah, pink's all right. So we have the x-axis here, horizontal. We have the y-axis here, the vertical. Oops. And the origin. Got it? All right. You guys like the pink? Yes? Thoughts? Okay. Here are your quadrants. You have quadrant 1. That's where you want your stocks to go up and to the right. This is quadrant 1, and then it goes counterclockwise. 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now you know. That you should know. That you should know. It just starts with 1 in the top right, and then goes counterclockwise. 2, 3, 4. This is not 4. This is 4. Must fix. Our slide writers do not know proper Latin. So 4, Roman numeral, IV. Okay. Quadrants are referred to with Roman numerals. Got it. Top right quadrant is 1, and labels continue counterclockwise around the origin. Okay. Figure above indicates the quadrant labels for a rectangular coordinate system. In which two quadrants does the equation that thing lie if S is less than 0? All right, watch how we solve this in a minute and a half. Oh my God, S is less than 0, so Y equals maybe -1 over the absolute value of X, or maybe Y equals, Y equals -10 over the absolute value of X. Well, let's see how this works. So Y equals -1 over the absolute value of X. Huh. Well, let's say that X is 3. Then what is Y going to be? If X is 3, then Y is going to be -1/3. 1, 2, 3. Y is going to be like up here, right? And if X is -3, then Y is going to be -1/3. Y is also going to be -1/3. So if X is -3, then Y is also going to be right there. Oh, so it looks like we're in quadrant 4 and quadrant 3. I think I'm done. I think that's it. That's it. You can do it. You can do more. So if X is 3, Y is -10/3. So Y is negative. Y could be here, and then Y could be here. But still same quadrants. Got it? So what did I do? I picked something for S, or I picked a couple things for S that satisfied this equation, and then I picked a couple things for X. All right, a couple things for X. So if X is 3, here X is 3, so where is Y? Y is down here. If X is -3, then where is Y? Y is down here. So here are my points. Boom and boom. That's it. That's all there is. Any questions? Questions on that? I bet you have questions. No questions? I bet Crystal has a question. Crystal's just being demure. Don't be shy. All right, Andrea, what's your question? Andrea just says, wait. Right. Okay. All right, Andrea, if you have a reason for choosing a different one, let me know why. Why would you get a point in the second quadrant? Show me how you got a point in the second quadrant. Okay? If you can do that, if you can get a point in the second quadrant using a negative number on top and any number on the bottom, probably a negative x, you probably need a negative x. Give me a y, or a point that's in the second quadrant, and then I can address it. Yes, so Andrew says, I thought there would be a positive or a negative x. Indeed, there is a negative x. So there you can have a point -3. If x is -3, what's y? Well, the equation is y equals -1 over the absolute value of -3, right? So y equals -1 over 3. So y equals -1/3. What quadrant is that in? Is that in the second quadrant? So try it with -10. Try it with -10 then. Y equals -10 over the absolute value of -3. So then y equals -10 over 3. So y equals -10/3. Is that in the second quadrant? X is -3 and y equals -10/3. Is that in the second quadrant? Only in the third quadrant and the fourth quadrant. Okay, map it out. Just use the map. That is the point of the Cartesian plane. Okay, do the rest of you get it? You good? Okay, looks like we are good. Let's move on. I hope the pink is okay. All right, each point in the on the xy plane is located both by an x coordinate and a y coordinate. So the origin is 0, 0. It's always x, y. So just alphabetical x, y. That's it. All right. So here's an xy plane with several different points labeled. So you can see up here in the second quadrant you have a negative x and a positive y. Here on the y-axis you have a 0 for your x and some positive y. Here in the third quadrant both coordinates are negative. In the fourth, positive x, negative y, and in the first quadrant we get both coordinates are positive. Okay, so that's how it works. All right, now this is for you to try. So I'm going to go dark for 1 minute and 40 seconds. See how you do. Go. Okay, guys, coming back, and I'm going to open the poll in 3, 2, 1. Let's see how you did. Ooh, 2 more people. 1 more person. You might get 100%, depending on this next person. You know who you are. Please vote. Please vote. Vote, vote, vote. 1 person has not voted, and you know who you are. Okay, closing it. All right. This is not a voluntary, it's not like a primary election where like maybe you get to the polls, maybe you don't. You have to vote. So I need to know how the whole class is doing. If one of you or several of you aren't voting, you know, I know how the folks who are voting are doing, but there's someone who's not voting. I will give you another fun fact, which is that your votes are anonymized, which means I don't know who is voting what. I don't know who's voting what. I only know how the class is doing in aggregate. So all the more reason to please vote. Please vote. Okay. Those of you who answered seem to feel very strongly that the answer is B. Let's see if you're right. Okay. All right. Let's see. In the xy plane, which the following points must lie on the line. 3y minus 18 minus kx equals 0. Okay, so many of you know that the equation for a line is y equals mx plus b. Cool? Right? So m is the slope. It's also rise over run. It's also change in y over change in x. Okay, so if it has a slope of 1, 1 over 1, every time it goes up 1, it goes over 1. Up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1. So the line looks like this. That's a slope of 1. If there's a slope of negative 1 over 1, it goes down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. So the slope looks like this. Negative 1. Negative 2, it goes down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. So it's even steeper. Rise over run, that's the slope. And B is the y-intercept. That's where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so for this one here, we have 3y equals kx plus 18. Divide both sides by 3, and you get y equals k over 3 times x plus 6. Aha! So that means it crosses the y-axis at 6. Because there is your B. This point right here is 0, 6. That is the answer. So everyone who answered the question, very, very well done. That was the correct answer. Very, very, very good job. Very proud. Except for the person who didn't answer. Next time. Okay. Okay. Slopes of lines. So positive slope goes up like a great stock. Negative slope goes down like a terrible stock. Horizontal line is a 0 slope, and a vertical line has an undefined slope. Cannot define it. Okay. Andrea, I'm very proud of you. I just want to say Andrea answered that one correctly, and she has noted it, and I have noted that she has noted it, and I'm proud of you. Excellent job. Okay. All right. How to find the slope? Change in y over change in x. So, if you have 2 unique points on a line, such as, what is the slope between 6, 3 and negative 6, negative 3? Well, let's plot those out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. So there's one line, and negative 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. So what's the slope of this thing here? Well, how much does it go up? Well, it goes up 3 minus negative 3, right? Because this is 6 comma 3. And this is negative 6 comma negative 3. So you do y2 minus y1. So we're going to label this y2 and x2. And this is x1 and y1. All right, so y2 minus y1 is 3 minus negative 3. What do you think x2 minus x1 is? I bet it's 6 minus negative 6. That's it. So in total, you get 3 plus 3, which is 6, over 6 plus 6, which is 12. So what is the slope? The slope is 6 over 12, or 1/2. And that's your slope. That's it. For every 1 it goes up, it goes 2 over. Parallel lines have the same slopes. Perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So what's the negative reciprocal? So what's the negative reciprocal of 1/2? Well, the reciprocal is 2, and it's the negative reciprocal. So negative 2, which makes sense, because what's perpendicular to this? Something that's like super steep, like that. That's a right angle right there. All right, that's it. Any questions? Points, lines, and slopes. Any questions? All right, go ahead and try this one. I'll give you a minute and a half right now. Go. Okay, coming back and opening the poll in 3, 2, 1. Go for it. Okay, one person's still not voting. All right. Okay, most of you thought it was B. One person thinks it is D. Let's check this out. In the XY plane, what is the slope of this here line? Well, let's check it out. We have 2y equals negative 2x plus 7. Divide everything by 2. Y equals negative 1x plus 7/2. The slope is negative 1. That's the answer. All right. What is 7/2? 7/2 is the y-intercept. That is b. So y equals mx plus b. M is the coefficient of x. That is the slope. B is the y-intercept, and that's this. It's asking for the slope. Okay, good job, those of you who picked B. Crystal, you nailed it. You crushed it. Stood no chance. Next to the intellectual hurricane that is Crystal. Excellent, excellent job. Okay, let's move along here. Equations of lines, forms, and structure. Okay, y equals mx plus b. We have done this. If you need more help with Cartesian planes, points, lines, and slopes, look at slide 40. You can do slide 40 on your own at home another time. Move along. Okay, more how to find the equations of lines. Good, we've done them. All right, I'm going to do this one with you. So which of the following equations represents line B, shown in the figure above? Here's my first question. Is the slope positive or negative? Positive or negative slope? Looks like a negative slope to me. Secondly, where does it cross the y-axis? Well, -1, -2, -3, -4. Crosses y-axis at -4. And what's the slope? The slope, well, here, this looks like -3, 0, and this looks like 0, -4. So what's the slope? Rise over run. 0 minus -4 over -3 minus 0. So we have 4 over -3. That is the slope. So y equals -4/3 x minus 4. Cool. Is that an answer choice? Oh no. Oh no, it's not. All right, we got 6's here and we got 24's. I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 6, just because. So now we're going to have 6y equals -24/3 x minus 24. Okay, so 6y equals -8x minus 24. Is that an answer? Let's pull the 8x to the other side. 8x plus 6y equals -24. I knew it was there. I knew it. Nailed it. Okay, one thing at a time. Negative slope, cool. Crosses the y-axis at -4, cool. Actually find the slope, write the equation, and then do some algebra. That's it. One step by each step. That's it. Okay? Does that make sense? Everybody? If you could not do that, or if you think it would take you a little while, I want you to do this problem, example 11, at home. Okay? Any questions? Any questions? Question. Yes, it looks easy when I do it because I've done these things a jillion times. But I also want to emphasize a lot of these problems are new to me, so I have either done them once or in this case never, and I just apply the rules that I know. So if you know the rules, you can figure it out, even if you've never seen it before. So I have never seen this problem before, much to the chagrin of Julie, who is listening right now, and everyone else who will see this episode on YouTube tomorrow. Anyway, the point is, I like showing what it looks like when someone who really knows the rules approaches something fresh for the first time. That's what you're going to be on test day. It's not rocket science. It's not even regular science. It's just the math that you learned in middle school and high school. You got to relearn it. You got to know it pretty well, and then you have to be flexible, poised, and sort of in shape on test day. And by in shape, I mean that this is a long test, and you have to maintain focus for a long time, a couple hours. So if you have the endurance already, great. Otherwise, you can build up the stamina by doing problem after problem after problem, problem set after problem set after problem set. I can teach you every single thing that I know. It except for self-discipline. You got to do that. Okay? Any other questions? All right. We're going to skip this for now. We will do another question like this later on in the course. That's it for Algebra 2, solving for a single variable, solving for multiple variables, foiling, quadratic equations, functions and symbolisms, coordinate planes, points, lines, and slope. That is a tremendous amount of material. But if you master it, if you master Algebra 2, you're going to be in great shape on the GRE. Okay? Any questions on Algebra 2? This is more stuff that you can do on your own. Examples 12, 13, and 14. All right. Algebra 2 takeaways. Know the difference between algebraic expressions versus equations. Equations have an equal sign. Find many ways to solve an equation. Recognize which strategy is the fastest. Pick numbers. Using and recognizing when/how to factor certain types of expressions and equations. Recognizing special functions, how they work, and what capacity. And you need to know the coordinate plane and points, lines, and slopes. Here's your homework, Algebra 2 sets 1 to 3, and the GRE guide homework, problem solving and quant comparison. Okay, that is it for algebra. Okay, any questions on algebra? Anything at all? Any comments? Any snide remarks? Any humorous asides? Any puns? Any puns of any kind? No puns? No puns? That's funny. Okay, so let's see if we can do some verbal. Verbally. Okay, text completion. All right. Don't think we did this last time, but we will find out very soon. Here we go. Text completion, connectors, and reading comprehension inference questions. Okay, learning objectives, figure out text completion, and inference. Here we go. I don't think we did this last time. Here we go. Inference and reading comprehension. So inference questions ask you to identify sensible conclusions based on the facts presented in the passage. They have answers that are not explicitly stated, but will be definite, clear, and logical. They often include words and phrases such as the passage suggests, or it can be inferred, or the author most clearly implies. All right, let's see what that looks like. Well, look, before we get to that, look for cues that point you to the relevant parts of the passage. Necessary, reread the surrounding sentences. So I don't think prediction is impossible, but sometimes prediction is very hard. So the answer choices are part of the question. So work through the answer choices using the process of elimination. Okay. All right, let's see. Common wrong answers may answer the question mostly from the text, but go further than the passage can actually support. So those are called extreme answers. You do not want extreme answers. Sometimes they are the right answer to the wrong question. So if the question asks about the views of someone the author quotes, the wrong answer might instead state the author's own view. Careful. Make sure you are answering the question. And also be very careful of extremes. So statements 1 and 3, they may answer the question mostly from the text, but go further than the passage can actually support, or they may include extreme answers. Be careful of extremes. Also in life. Also be careful of extreme weather. Please be safe. Okay, let's read this. All right, I'm going to give you, you know what? I'm going to read this with you. We'll do the first one together. And I'm going to read this in the same way that I would read an actual reading comprehension passage on the GRE. Okay? I want you to note 2 things as I read along. Number 1, notice how many words I say that are not in the passage itself. So I'm going to read the passage, but as I read it, I'm going to rephrase the words on the page into something that is intelligible to me, something that is in what I call plain English. That is so that I can fully understand what's going on. You don't do that. I know you don't, because nobody reads these kind of passages in plain English. They just fool themselves into thinking that the words on the page are written in the language that they speak. They're not written in the language you speak. I know they look like English, but it is not the English that goes through your mind. To prove that, if you had a friend, let's call her Erica. Hi everybody, I'm Erica. If I came to you and started saying, hey guys, you know, since the mid-19th century, many Cuban cigar factories' workforces have been structured in a unique way. A key role is that of the lector, whose sole assignment is to accompany other employees' work with oral readings of literature and nonfiction. Right? You would think I am on crack. First of all, because my name is Eric, not Erica, and it would be weird for me to change gender in the middle of a lesson, but also because this is not conversational English. This is an elevated dialect of English, formal, written English. If you read it and you don't rephrase it, you're not really understanding it, or you're not understanding it in real time. You're translating it into plain English and then back to the words that are on the page. So here's how I read the reading comprehension section, and I will take notes as I would do on the reading comp section myself. Since the mid-19th century, cool, so since like the 1850s or so, many Cuban cigar factories workforces, so like, you know, Jose y Maria Smokey, that's what I'm going to name them, Jose and Maria Smokey, have been structured in a unique way. Okay, a key role of these workforces is that of the lector. All right, I'm going to make Jose the lector, just because it was the 1850s, that's how it was done. Okay, whose sole assignment is to accompany other employees' work with oral readings of literature or nonfiction. Oh my God, Jose is not working at all. He's only reading to them. Oral readings of literature. That is a sweet, sweet job. You're just like sitting in that smoky cigar factory, reading your cool literature. I don't even know what that would be at the time, like Thomas Paine or, you know, Montesquieu or Hawthorne. You're just sitting there reading the lit. That is a pretty sweet job, I have to tell you. This unorthodox arrangement both allows the cigar rollers to avoid distraction from their repetitious but painstaking craft, so they're like being entertained. It's like putting the TV on while you work. It's like you put Jose on. Hey, I'm bored. Have Jose read me Anna Karenina again. That'll entertain me. All right, to avoid distraction from the repetition but painstaking craft, and facilitates engagement with literature, politics, and the inner lives of others. Oh, that's sweet. They didn't have Slack back then, so this is what they did. Okay. But perhaps the most novel aspect of this arrangement is that of compensation. Lectores are not paid by the factory owners, but by their fellow workers. Oh man, I thought these were like benevolent factory owners. But the factory workers are so effing bored that they pay this guy to just sit there and read to them. Oh, wow. And they are carefully selected for their powerful voices and dramatic reading ability. Oh, wow. So maybe they had a little talent. That's cool. Still a swank job. I'd rather be doing that than rolling cigars. In at least one case, the readings became so integral to the cigar production process that one brand of cigar, the Montecristo, was named after a lector's favorite book, Dumas's The Count of Monte Cristo, which is an awesome, awesome book, by the way. Perhaps due to the lectors, cigar factory employees are known for being unusually well-educated, as well as particularly knowledgeable about political issues. Awesome. All right, I didn't actually take that many notes because this happens to be a fantastic story. I love it. I want to go back and be a lector, except for the fact that I would die of lung cancer at 40. But other than that, it sounds like an awesome job. Cool. Let's see what the questions are. Oops. Let's erase this stuff. The author of the passage would most likely agree with which of the following about the role of lectores in cigar factories? That it was a swank job paid for by the workers. A, there are a number of different positions in the cigar factory workforce, the least significant of which is the lector. Heck no! Lector is a swank job. It's awesome. B, workers are paid by lectores. No, lectores are paid by workers. Gets it wrong. C, lectores only read from newspapers. Heck no, dude. Said he read from Count of Monte Cristo. That's ridiculous. D, reading aloud plays an essential role in the productivity of some Cuban cigar factories. That is definitely the best one so far. Okay, I don't know if that's right. Maybe not the one that I would pick, but it's the best one so far. E, the works read aloud in Cuban cigar factories keep workers misinformed about current affairs. That is not better than D. Maybe they were misinformed, but not what the author says. The author said they were unusually well educated and particularly informed. So D is definitely the best answer choice of those, and that is the right answer. Any questions on that? See how fast that went? No hemming and hawing, no getting between two and always picking the wrong one. If you really understand the passage, the answer choices are going to go very quickly. Some of you are saying very mean things about Erica. Listen, she's a simple girl, just reads reading comprehension passages aloud for a living. Just there are a lot in life. Don't hate. Don't hate. Don't hate. All right. All right. Now I want you to read this one on your own. You can read it aloud. I won't be able to hear you, but go ahead and read this one. I will give you a minute and a half. So ready? Go. Okay. How'd you do? Think you know a little bit about Renaissance windows now? Let's see what you got. Okay. I'm going to open the poll, see what you remember. Open the poll in 3, 2, 1. Go for it. Two more. Two more people. Vote. Okay. One more person? Okay. Okay, half of you think it's A, one of you think it's B, one of you thinks it is C. Let's check this out. The standard approach. What is the standard approach? Let's cheat and go back. Among scholars analyzing Italian Renaissance stained glass cathedral windows, a standard approach can be said to have developed. This approach regards Renaissance era stained glass windows as holdovers from the medieval era, when windows might be added centuries after the primary architects had died, and therefore as essentially another type of two-dimensional artwork, analogous to paintings. Okay, holdovers from the medieval era. So let's Renaissance stained glass windows were holdovers from the medieval era. Yeah, A. B. Renaissance stained glass windows were carefully considered elements of the overall architectural design of the church. No. Renaissance stained glass windows are analogous to paintings. Ha ha! I believe this kind of question is one where you select one, where you can select 1, 2, or 3. So in this case, I would say the answer is both A and C. So anyone who put A or C, I'll give it to you. I believe the answer is A and C. Sadly, B is not right. So A and C are the right answers. Okay, we will do this last one. Go ahead, I will give you a minute and a half. Try to take notes, remember as much as you can, and then we will open the poll. So, minute and a half, go. Okay, can you guys hear me? I think I'm having a little trouble with the video, but I'm going to advance it so you can see the question, and go ahead. All right, looks like I'm back on video as well. So since I believe this is a choose A and or B and or C, go ahead and write in the text box what you think the answer is. Okay. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Taryn. Thank you, Andrea. We got 2 more folks. Write something. So Silvani and Whitney. Go ahead and write. Silvani says A and C. And Whitney, A and B. Okay, so we have a bunch of A and Bs. We have one just A and one A and C. So which defined can be inferred from the passage regarding chromosomes and their workings? Let's go back and cheat and see chromosomes and their workings. Well, the base laws of inherent blah, 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 found that white people were dominant and recessive traits, which we now understand the mechanism of heredity. Because Darwin's theory of evolution was ascendant at the time, many scientists overlooked other work in what was thought to be the field of hybridization. It was not until the beginning of the 1900s when chromosomes and their workings were discovered that Mendel's work was revived and understood. So let's go back. Their discovery was essential to a full understanding of Mendel's work. We inferred from the passage regarding the discovery of chromosomes was essential to the understanding of Mendel's work. Chromosomes are, yeah, that one is probably correct, but I will note one word. It's the word essential. You want to be careful of extreme words like absolutely or essential. These are words that get you in trouble in logical reasoning. So I will allow it for now, but I'm very nervous about it. B, they support the evidence demonstrated by pea flowers regarding color theory. Support the evidence. Chromosomes support the evidence. Yes. B, yes. C, the evidence about chromosomes directly contradicts Darwin's theory of evolution. No, that is not correct. So it doesn't directly contradict. Darwin's theory of evolution was ascendant. Many scientists overlooked other work. So it's like Darwin's really popular, that, so we're going to overlook this other thing. That doesn't mean that chromosomes and Darwin's theory directly contradict. So that's very strong and doesn't say that in the passage. And we know from today, when we learn both about Darwin and about chromosomes, that they can coexist. So it's a little something you shouldn't do, which is importing outside knowledge, but that's another way of double checking that C is wrong. So I would say A and B. Oh, Silvani thinks it's just A now. I don't think so. I think B is correct. A and B. Okay, let's move along. Elaboration, change, and causation. All right. Change and surprise connectors. Some sentences introduce contrast less extreme than total opposition. Total opposition is indicated by words such as but or however. This usually indicates that something is surprising. Typical words indicating this pattern include contrary to opinion or contrary to belief, surprisingly, unusual, unusually, or diverge. Okay, less extreme than however, are surprisingly, diverging from mainstream theory, etc. So the movie star, well known for her tidy appearance, shocked the world with her blank look during her talk show interview. What would be a good prediction for this blank? What do you think? What would you put in that blank? Okay. Frazzled, says Taryn. Disheveled, says Andrea. Crazy, says Whitney, who's a little much. Gendered. Anything else? I'm not allowed to use the C word. Okay, crazy is the C word. Crappy, ooh, sloppy, okay. It could be something exactly the opposite of tidy, or it could be something oblique, such as, well known for her tidy appearance, shocked the world with her daring look during her talk show interview. So it's not tidy, but it's not the opposite of tidy. So you can, so it might be the opposite, or it might be something oblique. It might be something a little bit, different, different from tidy. So I often say, when you're looking at a sink, the opposite of hot is cold. But when you're on the GRE, the opposite of hot is not hot. It could be lukewarm. Maybe it's lukewarm. Maybe it's cold. Maybe it's cool. So the opposite of tidy is not tidy. It could be anything. Okay. Except for tidy. Elaboration and definition connectors. Many GRE questions use clarifications and explanations in the sentence to tell us what should go in the blanks. These sentences will explain themselves several times, provide illustrations, or elaborate simple points. So you'll see a colon, a comma, semicolon, or a phrase such as, for example. So the concert was blank, colon, and now it's going to explain itself. The music was harsh, the speakers were poorly calibrated, and the crowd was raucous. What word would you put in that blank? Concert was blank. We have bad, crappy. So Vani, are you going to put crappy for every single blank? So Vani's just going to stick with crappy. Awful. Horrible, says Crystal. AF, says Andrea. Andrea says AF. By the way, I'm not saying this, but Andrea says AF. Every comment, every single comment of hers is AF. The concert was AF. It's correct. I just can't argue with that. It's just rock solid logic. Rock solid. Cannot beat it. Crystal agrees. Yes. The concert was AF. Music was harsh. The speakers were poorly calibrated, and the crowd was raucous. Obviously. Obvi, as I believe you're saying. No? Is that not? Anyway, the concert was terrible. The concert was not good. Okay, cause and effect connectors. On some questions, parts of the sentence are connected by cause and effect relationship. So common ways to indicate this relationship include because, due to, result, or resulting, is a consequence of. So blank, that blank, those are cause and effect connectors. When you see cause and effect connectors, look for a logical connection. Look for similar word charge. So good causes lead to good effects. Bad causes lead to bad effects. You can be very specific in your prediction. So few people at the reunion remembered Larissa, a consequence of her blank disposition through her school years. What would you say there? I know what Andrew is going to say, but what do the rest of you say? A consequence of her blank disposition through her school years. Shy. That's okay. So Vine says shy. Whitney says shy. Andrew says quirky AF, which is correct. Good. Indifferent. Good job, Taryn. All correct. All good. You don't remember someone if they were at a shy disposition or a retiring disposition, something that made them quiet. Quiet disposition. Good. Quiet. Quiet AF. Correct. Okay. All right. So go ahead and try this one on your own. I'll give you maybe 40 seconds. Go. Okay, coming back. And we are going to open the poll. Oh, wait, this is a multi-selection here. So go ahead and type in the text box which answer or answers you would choose. Go ahead right now. Okay. Some divergence here. 1, 2, 3. So go ahead, Silvani and Silvani, AC. And how about last but not least, Taryn, Andrew, Whitney, Crystal, Silvani. Good, we're done. Okay, we have one person says B, one person says C and D, C and D, D, A and C. All right, let's check this out. After the 1953 discovery of the double helix structure, entirely new fields of research in areas as disparate as medicine, criminal justice, and botany soon developed, many of which were blank, particularly in matters relating to heredity. So after a certain discovery, entirely new fields of research soon developed, many of which were breakthrough, many of which were brand new and wonderful, really just delicious. So that's the kind of thing that I want. Let's see what we get. Many of which were perspicacious. Perspicacious means insightful as it relates to a person. So a person can be perspicacious. I don't know that a whole field of study can be perspicacious. I would put that in question mark. Many of which were controversial. Entirely new fields of research soon developed, many of which were blank. So this is a neutral / kind of positive development, a 1953 discovery. This is a good thing. Controversial is a negative thing. You usually don't want to be controversial. So I don't think it's B. Many which were essential. Essential to what? Essential to what? Essential is only a correct adjective in the context of something. You can't be an essential person. That is, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you are very essential people, but you can be essential to the team, essential to the cause, essential to your family. But you cannot be an essential field of study. I wanted a brand new and breakthrough kind of adjective, so that's not right. Revolutionary, brand new and breakthrough. Oh yeah, definitely revolutionary. Supercilious, that means unnecessary, as in not just regular silly, supercilious. Supercilious. So that's the exact opposite of what I want. I might choose D, definitely choose D, and I would just choose D. I think perspicacious can only refer to a person. Okay. Questions on that? Taryn says, agree that B is wrong, but couldn't discoveries of information bring about other controversial conclusions? Here's the thing about fill in the blank. Okay? I'm not arguing with your logic. It's possible that discovering DNA led to controversial things. But here's the thing about what we're doing right now, which is fill in the blank on the GRE. If you have a positive or neutral charge to the rest of the sentence, the word in the blank is going to be positive or neutral. Controversial, not positive or neutral. Controversial is, creating conflict, creating controversy. It's a slight negative charge. So controversial, never going to be the answer to this kind of question. Not this sentence. Okay? Any questions? Any questions? Any other questions? Karen, does that make sense? You good? Okay. All right, go ahead and try this one. I'll give you about 40 seconds, then we'll walk through it. Go. Okay, coming back, and please type your answers in the text box. Many of you have already done. 1, 2, 3. All right, we're waiting on Whitney and Crystal. Got it. Every single one of you wrote D. Hope it's D. Let's check it out. In an effort to resolve its many copyright issues and raise the journal's general level of sophistication, the managing editor has committed to developing a new production process that focuses on blank. So, resolve its many copyright issues and raise the journal's general level of sophistication. So he's trying to improve its quality, like the essence of the paper. So it focuses on velocity. That is hilarious and wrong. Focuses on proximity. Yeah, just get the paper closer to people, then they'll like it. That's creepy. Intensity. Again, just imagine like the solution to shoddy copy editing is we're just gonna make it more intense. Thank you, Breitbart News, but no. D, quality. Yeah, that's it. Sensibility. It didn't say that it was nonsensical or that that it was. I don't know. Sense and sensibility. No. Focuses on sensibility. That's like a very archaic thing to focus on, and not quality. Quality is the correct answer. So all of you got it right, 100%. Well done. Very well done. Okay. Last one for today. This might be the penultimate. So go ahead and do this one. I'll give you 40 seconds. I'll tell you what. Whenever you are ready to, what you do is you choose one from the left column and one from the right column. So that's what we have to do for example 6. Whenever you're ready, type it in the text box. Okay, coming back. Let's see how you did. 1, 2. Wow. Only one we're missing. We have Andrew, we have Taryn, we have Silvani, we have Whitney, and now we have Crystal. Oh, almost 100%. So everyone got A and E except for one person. All right, the poetry reading blank. The poems were mellifluous, the reader's voice gentle, but the warehouse with its exposed pipes, rotting timbers, and strange echoes was blank with the performance. So the poetry reading left a bitter taste. No, it sounds like it was awesome. Confirmed suspicions. No, it didn't confirm. Proved successful. Yeah, sounds like it proved successful. Definitely, I mean, it sounds great, right? So all of you chose A, left a bitter taste. All of you chose A, left a bitter taste. The poetry reading, Well, the poems were mellifluous, means read in a soothing and pleasing voice. The reader's voice was gentle, but the warehouse, with its exposed pipes, rotting timbers, and strange echoes, was harmonious with the performance? No. Was incongruous with the performance? Yeah. The performance was great, but the warehouse, the setting kind of stunk. So, so incongruous with the performance. I would say C and E. I think it's the poetry reading was great. It just the words right after the colon make it sound like the poems and the reader were really nice. And C is the only one that's positive. So I don't know why you would choose A, left a bitter taste. Because I think you're thinking about the second part of the sentence, which is just the setting. But that's not what comes after the colon. What comes after the colon is a lot of really sweet words. So you gotta have something that says that the poetry reading itself was pretty good. So you all missed it. What are your questions on that? Andrew says just a juxtaposition. Yeah, it is a juxtaposition, but that's why the second word is incongruous. Incongruous with the performance. The performance is good. The setting is bad. So that's why you use incongruous in that second blank. But the poetry reading, that's talking about the performance itself. Yeah. Here's my question, Taryn. So Taryn's like, well, I thought the reading encompasses both the performance and the setting. So then why would they have two things that say the reading and why would they have one that's the reading and the setting and another one that's just the setting? And also, if it's juxtaposition, why wouldn't you have the first word or the first phrase be kind of opposite the second phrase? So the first phrase proved successful, but it was incongruous with the performance. That's right. Setting is part of the performance? No. Just imagine a performance of Hamlet. Can a performance of Hamlet be set in the modern day? Can a performance of Hamlet be set in the Roman times and prehistoric times? Yeah, Hamlet has been done in every era. So performance is separate than setting. Do you get separate Academy Awards for Best Actor and Best Set Design or Cinematography? Yes, you do. Different. Yeah. Andrew doesn't like C. I appreciate it, but I do not care what you like because the GRE does not care what you like. It only cares what the right answer is. The right answer is not A. The right answer is C. So appreciate your tastes, but for you to get a higher score, you should learn that reading, listen, the words right after the colon are positive. Where's the positive? Where's the positivity? Fill in the blank with some positive stuff. Poetry reading, blank, the poems were great. The reader's voice is awesome. So give that first blank some positive. Left a bitter taste, comma, the poems were great. The reader's voice was awesome. That's weird. It's a weird thing to say and it's wrong. Okay? All right. Okay, guys. Taryn is now attacking the test writers. Okay, that's super productive, Taryn. All right, here's the thing. I know you're going to feel like this on some sentence correction, fill in the blank, verbal questions. You're going to feel like the test is wrong. And okay. But you have to learn that, you have to learn how the test thinks because you will not, you're allowed to feel whatever you want to feel. You're entitled to I always say to everybody in any circumstance, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you want, as long as you're willing to accept the consequences. So you have to have both. So you can answer whatever you want and feel that you are right. You can go and slam the computer down or throw the pencil at it and insist that you have the right answer. The consequence is you will get a lower GRE score. That's the thing. So learn what the test thinks and how the test thinks. And here, the lesson is, you had something on the left-hand side of the colon. It's going to match the thing on the right-hand side of the colon. The thing on the right-hand side of the colon is good stuff. The thing on the left-hand side of the colon is good stuff. Okay? Do what you like, but you get help, you get a higher score. That's all there is. Okay. Let's move on. We'll do this last one. Go ahead and try this. 40 seconds, and when you're done, enter an answer. Okay, coming back, and let's see how you're doing here. We have 3 different answers from 4 different people. You're missing Solani. Solani, what do you got? Okay, we got 3 Ds, a C, and an A. After obsessively checking the forecast for a week, Yasmin packed rain gear, pants, and sweaters for a trip to Europe, and at the last minute she threw 1 summer dress into her suitcase. Later, she was grateful for the hasty addition. The unexpectedly super good weather would have compelled her to shop if she had not packed that dress. Super good, because it's a summer dress. All right, so let's see what we got. Gelid. I don't know what gelid means, but it sounds gross. B, tempestuous, not tempestuous. Tempestuous means stormy. C, inclement. Inclement means bad. Bad weather. That's not it. D, torrid. Torrid weather. Torrid means terrible. Like torrents. Torrents of rain. That's not good either. Portentous. Portentous means like very nice. Portentous, hopeful. So I'd probably pick E, even though I don't know what gelid means. Would like to know what gelid means. It is not tempestuous. It is not inclement. Definitely not torrid. So if one of you has Google and can look up gelid, Taryn is being funny. Also, Taryn just introduced a word to me that I did not know. That word is zam. It is spelled like dam, but with a Z in front of it. Excellent word. Please make that happen, Taryn. So I would say portentous, but I'd be a little unsure because I don't know what gelid means. All right, vocab practice. It matters. Got to do it. Okay, that's it for a verbal session. You can do example 8 on your own. Another excellent one to practice on, but in the interest of time, we're going to skip it. This is what we learned from text completion and reading comprehension inference. Reading comprehension inference is fun, isn't it? You just make it in plain English, and you read it, and you learn a little something, and you remember it, and then you get the question right. You guys did very well on that. Make it fun, make it interesting, rephrase the crap out of it, and then draw the most logical conclusion. Text completion, we all have a little bit of work to do on text completion. Okay? Do practice. What practice, you say? Your homework practice. Here are the Ready4 the modules in the Ready4 homework. Elaboration, change, and causation, main idea, and inference in the Ready4 app. Also, there are the problems in the official GRE guide that will match to the lesson we just taught. Okay? That is it for verbal session 4. Let's do a little verbal session 5. Reading comprehension, function questions, and complete an idea. Let's check it out. Okay, we're going to learn about a different kind of reading comp question. We're going to learn about a different kind of text completion question. All right, let's do it. Okay, function questions ask you to identify how a particular text functions within the logical flow of the passage. It requires you to understand the author's line of reasoning and often asks what an idea proves or is an example of. Function questions look like the following. The importance of the research mentioned in lines 3 to 6 is that it ... Select the sentence that introduces an argument against the author's hypothesis. The two portions in boldface play which of the following roles? So you got to understand what's going on, and then you got to figure out what that particular thing, that particular line, what it is doing there. What is it doing in the passage? Okay, main steps. Here's your strategy. First, find the text and focus on how it relates to its immediate context. 2, always keep in mind how the text relates to the passage's main idea. 3, you should know the answer to a function question based on this analysis. 4, make a prediction. 5, compare answer choices. Compare answer choices. Or compare the your prediction to the answer choices. That's fine. Okay, that is the Ready4 strategy. As you will soon see, the Eric Maltzer strategy is slightly different, but both are valid. Okay, further steps. If you need to eliminate choices, cross out any answer that doesn't match with the author's main idea or tone. Be on the lookout for wrong answers describing the functions of other unrelated parts of the passage. All right, so go ahead and read this passage on your own, and then we are going to talk about it. So go ahead and read it. I'm going to give you about 50 seconds. Go. Okay, let's talk through this. So the author of the passage discusses cognitive control mechanisms primarily in order to, what do you think? Go ahead and type in why you think the author might discuss cognitive control mechanisms. Okay. Compare. Andrew says compare. Compare what? Emphasize the importance. Show that there are confounding variables affecting the data when looking at happy people absorbing more info. Taryn, I love it. Great. All right. Why does the author talk about cognitive control mechanisms? Well, the attentional broadening, meaning you pay more attention to more stuff, observed in subject experiencing positive moods. You observe more stuff when you're happy. They could just say that. They don't, because part of reading comp is to use large words and see if you fall asleep. The paying more attention to stuff observed in happy people may eventually be attributed more specifically to cognitive control mechanisms, the things that make you happy and pay attention to stuff, which direct cognitive resources towards processing a bunch of stuff in the environment. Why do you discuss cognitive control mechanisms? Because that explains why people pay more attention to stuff, and that explains it's the reason why people are able to process a bunch of things at once. Because it's a reason why people are able to process a bunch of things at once. Okay, let's see what we get. The author of the passage discusses cognitive control mechanisms primarily in order to A, describe one specific way in which the broadened attention of people in good moods may be produced. That seems pretty good. I'll put that in the champion slot. B, identify a process that has been ruled out as a contributor to the broadened attention of people in good moods. No, cognitive control mechanisms help. C, show why neural imaging may not offer sufficient information to fully understand the no. Cognitive control mechanisms is put forward as a reason why people in good moods can pay attention to stuff. So it doesn't say anything about neural imaging, may not offer sufficient. No, that's not right. D, illustrate why behavioral studies, what? Can only offer partial information about the broadened attention of people in good moods. I don't like the extreme words in D. A beats D. Modify a statement about the extent to which the attention of people in good moods is broadened. I think A beats E. I think A beats E. What do you guys think? Do you disagree? A. Whitney says A. Agreed. All right. So it seems like you guys are agreeing with me. I want to disagree with something that I said earlier. So someone wrote in the comments that torrid, an adjective that I associate with torrential or torrents, actually means on a tear, which is what if someone has like a torrid love affair, that's like a steamy love affair. Or if someone has a torrid run of success, that means they're on fire, that means they're really just success after success after success. And in the context that was used in the question that we reviewed, torrid is being used to say hot. That is not the primary use of the word torrid, but that is a definition of torrid. And so all of you who chose D, you are correct, and I was wrong. So I want to say something that is very hard for me to say. I was completely wrong. It hurts. The answer is D, not E. Portentous means auspicious, good for the future. Torrid can mean hot. So that is the correct answer on that one. Ouch. In this case, I think the answer is A. Crystal is exulting that she got it right. Yes, she did get it right. Congratulations, Crystal. Hurts me. All right, let's move on. Oi, we're not going to do this right now, but I do want you to do this at some point. Example 2. very long passage with one question attached to it. So, important thing to do, but we're not going to do it in class right now. Okay, complete an idea. That's what we just did, and it is something that will come up on the reading comprehension section of your verbal. Okay, now we have some text completion, complete an idea. So we just, sorry, this was function questions, now complete an idea for text completion. Here we go. Complete an idea type of question has 3 blanks, is complicated and therefore difficult, requires more critical thinking than simpler text completions. Oh boy, this is an extra complicated text completion. Start with the blank that seems easiest to you. This is often a word that has close proximity to a keyword or connector. Then move to the blank that is easier to approach once the easiest blank is filled, and then do the hardest one. Okay. Excessive complexity. Often these questions seem too complicated to be good sentences. They may seem wrong because they cram so much information into a very limited space. Your goal, should you choose to, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to create a cohesive thought. If you avoid irrelevant and contradictory words, you'll be in good shape. Caldwell claims that the coloring patterns of small prey fish exhibit decreasing blank over generations, making their defensive strategy of swimming close together more blank, because the group's blank makes individuals more difficult for predators to identify. So Caldwell claims that the coloring patterns of small prey fish exhibit decreasing blank over generations, making their defensive strategy of swimming close together more blank, because the group's blank makes individuals more difficult for predators to identify. Yet, studies have not shown that the most strongly thriving whatever populations in the wild exhibit any more such homogeneity than do others. Aha. So I'm going to say exhibit decreasing diversity over generations, making their defensive strategies moving close together more effective because the group's coloring makes individuals more difficult for predators to identify, or similar coloring. Okay, now I have filled in all 3 blanks with predictive words, things I think work, and let's go see what we get. So I said decreasing diversity, because it's the opposite of homogeneity. Swimming close together, more effective, because the group's coloring makes individuals more difficult for predators to identify. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Caldwell claims that the coloring patterns of small prey fish exhibit decreasing diversity. Oh, love it when that happens. Making their defensive strategy of swimming close together more, I said effective, but I'm going to say successful, because the group's uniformity makes individuals more difficult for predators to identify. That's it. That's how you do it. Any questions on that? Any questions on how that one went? No questions? None? I changed my third thing from coloring to uniformity. Why? Because so Andrew said third prediction for the third box was dynamics. So if you think about so if you chose dynamics for your third blank, you might be tempted to choose H, variation. But think about what that sentence would say. The coloring patterns have exhibited decreasing diversity, so becoming more alike over generations, making their defensive strategy more effective because the group's variation makes individuals more difficult for predators to identify. That doesn't make sense. The group's similarness. The group's uniformity makes individuals more difficult for predators to identify. Got it? That makes more sense. Read the whole thing after you have filled in all the blanks. Make sure it makes sense. Okay. I think Andrea just called me ma'am. Andrew said yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Let's do some other ones. Let's do a harder one. Go ahead and try example 4 and write in your 3 letters that you choose when you're finished. I'm going to go away while you do it. Go. Okay, coming back. Now, I would like the rest of you, Taryn, thank you for answering. I'd like the rest of you to answer. Thank you, Andrea. Andrea, I think, is just trying to use AF or similar hilarious words. Andrew just said, bah! Bah! It's not even a thing. You can't even choose BA and A. AF. Okay, so Taryn, Andrea, Whitney, and Andrea, I know you're just trying to entertain me. It's working. It's definitely working. Crystal, Silvani, Taryn, Whitney. So let's see. We have Whitney, yes. Taryn, Andrea, Whitney, Silvani. Okay. Silvani, you have to choose something in the middle, but let's see how it goes. Let's see what we get. Even to trained critics, James Joyce's stream of consciousness novel, blah-de-blah, can seem unnecessarily blank. Blank mess of words deliberately written to flout readers looking for meaning in its 500 pages of tenuously connected blank. All right, tenuously connected blah. Tenuously connected words. So I would say, so look at that last one, tenuously connected evidence. I don't think so. So it's a mess. So tenuously connected musings or tenuously connected verbiage? Look at tenuously connected verbiage. It's more dismissive. So stream of consciousness novel, Finnegan's weight can seem unnecessarily what? Unseemly, obscure, or untoward? Unnecessarily. I think it's obscure. Obscure is something that's not usually used. So an obscure word or an obscure artifact. Unnecessarily untoward, maybe. Unseemly is inappropriate. Unseemly is inappropriate. Can it seem unnecessarily inappropriate or untoward? I think untoward by process of elimination. I would love to know what untoward actually means. But I think it is C. Blank, an unintelligible mess of words. Yeah, that seems right. A comprehensible? No. An inconsiderable? No. So an unintelligible mess of words. That is the only one that describes, that is similar to mess of words, an unintelligible mess of words. You wouldn't say an understandable mess of words. That's what E says. That's not right. Or an inconsiderable. An inconsiderable meaning like, it's not so many words. An inconsiderable mess of words. I think it is C, D, and G, but I'm not 100% convinced it's not H. And I would love to know what untoward means. Second blank has to be an unintelligible mess of words. So Silvani is sticking with B. She's saying it can seem unnecessarily obscure. Okay? And a lot of you chose B. An obscure mess of words. Huh. Obscure. As in obscured. As in unknown or hidden. Can seem unnecessarily hidden. Can seem unnecessarily unreadable. All right. The fact that so many of you have chosen B and that you are making a convincing argument for it, and Taryn is making an argument AF. I don't think that's the right use of AF, actually. Is making an argument for it. I think, here's what I would say. I know a common definition of obscure. That common definition of obscure does not fit the blank, but it's possible that you could use obscure in its second definition if untoward doesn't mean what I think it means. If untoward means inappropriate, then I'll grant you it is probably B. Obscure is probably the right word for that first blank. So I don't know what, off the top of my head, what untoward means, although I kind of do. But on the test, if I were really rushing, I might have chosen what I think is the correct definition of obscure, but I have to think of all the other definitions. So unnecessarily obscure, an unintelligible mess of words deliberately written to flat readers and for meaning. 500 pages of tenuously connected verbiage, tenuously connected musings. Oof. Between G and H, very tough. By the way, all of these, untoward means inappropriate. Thank you, Whitney. The answer is B for that first blank. Great. Thank you, Crystal. Also, you also got that Julie. All right, so we got B after all, D for sure, and either G or H. Unconnected, tenuously connected verbiage or tenuously connected musings. Well, upon further reflection, you can have connected. Well, I don't know. Tell you what, between G and H, it will appear in the explanations deck, which you will get sent directly to you without delay, straight to your inbox. That will arrive in your inbox from Julie by tomorrow morning. Okay? So these text completions are very hard, and I was going to wrap and sort of zoom through the rest of the text completions, but given how much trouble we are all having, granted at 10 o'clock at night, we are going to start next time with verbal session 5 on slide 20, which is more text completion. Looks like text completion is a bit of our Waterloo. We are having some trouble. So we are going to study a lot of text completion between now and our next class, and we are going to figure out how we can nail this. Okay? So please do your homework. Please take some time to study on your own. Please take some time to figure out how you can not only get questions right, how you can get a little bit faster. GRE is a test of stamina, it is a test of poise, it is a test of how creative you can be under pressure and how creative you can be when you're stressed out. They're going to stress you out, they're going to put you in situations that you're not used to and that are uncomfortable. It's part of the test. What we are doing here is we are learning all the fundamentals you need to succeed. We will get you to go faster, and we will teach you some mental agility so that you can be flexible when faced with especially tough stuff. Okay, that is it for tonight. We went a couple minutes over. We started a couple minutes late. We'll start on slide 20. Look at that. We'll start on slide 20 next time. And the office hours, office hours, office hours. I have good news and bad news. The good news is that we are going to do an extra office hours. The bad news is it's not going to be tomorrow morning. So again, we are not going to have office hours tomorrow morning. I'm going to be on a bus from 8 a.m. from 7:45 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. Do not log in between 7:45 a.m. and 8:45 a.m. I will not be here. We are either going to do the makeup office hours on Friday, or we are going to do them over a weekend, and we are going to have a bonus office hours. So we're going to give you more time for you to ask me questions one-on-one. Also, please send me emails, and anytime. My email is maltzer@gmail.com. I am always here to answer your emails. Okay? That is it for now. Taryn, thank you for bringing that up. I will see you all on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Thank you for joining us. I'll see you Thursday night. Good night.